If you're looking for a middle-of-the-road lift kit that's not going to completely break the bank, this TerraFlex 2.5-inch coil spring base suspension lift kit with the 9550 VSS shocks will be a great pick for your 2018 or newer 4-door JL Wrangler. Now, this is a great option if you want more than an entry-level kit when it comes to a milder 2.5-inch lift, but you don't necessarily want to go over the top with a super high performance option if you're doing street driving and light to moderate off-roading. Now, this kit will give you an increase in height and capability for your Wrangler, which is great not only for the aesthetic of your rig, but also for performance with the comfortable yet responsive qualities that this offers. This is also going to be a base suspension lift, so it's not going to include everything, but it's going to include everything that you need, so you don't necessarily have to outsource. But what I do like about this kit is that it allows you to grow with it. So if you want to add additional components, you can do so based on your personal preference, but this kit includes everything that you need to get that height with no questions asked. Now, this kit's going to feature a bunch of different benefits thanks to the 2.5 inches of lift that you're getting, including better ground clearance so you can clear obstacles easier off-road, a more defined and level presence to your rig, and the ability to fit up to a 37-inch tire. While 37 inches is the max tire size, they will only work with Rubicon flares or if some trimming is done to the Sport or Sahara model. So for this reason, 35s will be the recommended tire size for this lift. Now, included in the kit will be the springs. That's going to get you that height. You're also going to have the 9550 twin tube VSS shocks, which are going to be very comfortable and responsive, like I mentioned before, giving you that performance off-road, but also resisting shock fade over time compared to your factory shocks. You're also going to get sway bar end links that are going to accommodate for that additional height, and bump stop extensions that are also going to accommodate for that additional height. Now, again, this is going to be really everything that you need, but if you want to add a track bar or control arms or brackets in the future, you can totally do so. And that's what I like about this base suspension, is that it leaves options open for your build so you can tailor it to your personal preference. Now, breaking this kit down, starting off with the springs, these are going to be fine-tuned, made of a steel shot peen construction, and they're going to have a black powder coat on top. These are going to be incredibly strong with the ability to resist excessive bouncing and offer consistent performance off-road. What's also going to offer consistent performance is the shocks. These are going to offer a tough construction with a steel shock body and a matte black finish on top that's going to protect the steel from any rusting over time. And it's going to include a 5/8 inch induction hearted triple chrome plated rod for optimal strength and to prevent any nicks or bending on the shaft, which is going to elong their lifespan that much more. They're also going to include a quiet nitrile bushings to resist any cracking and wear, and that is going to carry over into the sway bar end links as well. These are going to have the same style bushings, but they're also going to have upgraded ball joints at the top, so these are going to last a little bit longer than your factory ones while also accommodating for that additional height. This will also come with the bump stop extensions that are made of a dense ABS plastic material. These, you don't have to worry about oxidation with these, which is perfect. They are going to be able to take a beating like the rest of the kit, so everything here is going to have a tough and a quality construction that you can rely on out of a lift kit. Now, this kit's going to come in at about $1,100, again, putting this right in the middle of the road when it comes to price. Now, comparing it to other options, price usually aligns with the inclusivity of the kit. So with this being right in the middle, this is going to have everything that you need, being that facelift without being bare bones. Again, not leaving you questioning if you have to outsource for anything. You do get the option to if you'd like, but it's not going to include a bunch of bonus components like the track bar or control arms. Again, I like the fact that it leaves you the ability to choose, but really sets you up with a solid foundation of your suspension with durable and high quality components. Now, again, I think if you want to compromise, save yourself a few bucks, your current suspension's in good shape, you don't want to upgrade until the future, you just want that height and good drivability out of a quality kit, then this is going to be a great one to choose. Now, install is going to be a 3 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. As you probably assumed, you will have to take a lot of your suspension apart and out in order to put this lift kit in. So it's probably going to take you about 4 hours to get the job done with the correct tools and the correct setup. So at this point, we can head over to the shop and check out a detailed breakdown on how to get all of these components onto your JL at home. So that's going to wrap it up for me. Let's go ahead and get into it.
For this install, you need a 3/8 impact, a 3/8 ratchet, a 3/8 extension, a 21, an 18, a 15, a 10, and a 13 millimeter socket, a 6 and an 8 millimeter socket, the wrench for the front bump stops supplied in the kit, a clip removal tool, a screwdriver, an 18 and a 14 millimeter wrench, pliers, and 2 pairs of vice grips. And also not shown in this will be a cutoff tool and a lift and pull jacks. All right, today we're going to be installing a lift on our Jeep Wrangler, so let's get started. All right, before we start dropping the rear axle, we just need to do a couple things with our parking brake lines. First thing we're going to do is we're going to set our parking brake so we can disconnect our lines from each side of the axle. All right, now the parking brake is set. What we're going to do is we're going to take a pair of vice grips, clamp it onto this tab sticking out of the brakes, lock that in, do the same thing on the other side, and then we're going to release the parking brake so we can take it off each side. All right, now that our e-brake is released, what we can do is we can disconnect the cable from our tab here. You may need to pry it out a little bit just to get some more slack. All right, and now we'll release the cable from this mounting point here. Just grab a screwdriver or a pick, just push the tabs in. All right, and so repeat the same process for the other cable. All right, now there's a top bracket for the parking brake cables that is above the fuel lines, mounted to the body. There's a 13 millimeter bolt holding it on, so we're just gonna take that and the bracket off. All right, now to make a little bit more slack in our parking brake cables, what we need to do is we need to reroute them under the frame and under the fuel lines. All right, now we can reinstall our cables onto our brakes. Just slide it through till it clips, put our end back in our bracket. Do the same thing for the other side. All right, and now we can remove our vice grips. All right, we're now ready to start lowering the rear axle. What we're gonna do is we're gonna support the rear axle with 2 pull jacks underneath, and then we're gonna remove the vent tube and the track bar. All right, now we're gonna grab a pair of pliers, loosen the clamp on the hose, and then we'll pull the vent tube off. Now we can take our bolt out of our track bar. All right, now we're gonna grab our impact with our 21 millimeter socket and take our bolt out of our track bar. All right, now we wanna take our 10 millimeter bolt out of our bracket for our brake lines just to give our lines a little bit of slack when we drop the axle. All right, we're gonna take our top bolt out of our shock. It's an 18 millimeter bolt. All right, we can now remove our bottom shock bolt and our sway bar links. They are all gonna be 18 millimeter sockets or wrench, so you can take them off now. All right, for our top bolt on our sway bar link, we're gonna grab an 18 millimeter wrench and a 6 millimeter Allen to hold the stud. All right, and we're gonna take the 13 millimeter bolt out of our bracket for our brake lines to give us more room. All right, now we can just repeat the same process on the other side. All right, now we're ready to lower the rear so we can get our rear springs out. What we're gonna do is lower them evenly on both sides until we release tension on the springs. All right, now that there's no tension on the springs, we can pull our springs out. All right, now we're gonna install our new springs. Just make sure when you're checking everything, check the part numbers. They are side dependent for the rear. They are labeled left, and they also have a separate part number. So just double check before you go to put everything in. So we're gonna put our springs in and then slowly raise up our rear. right, now while we're here, we can install our bump stop plate. What it's gonna do is it's gonna mount to the axle right here. So it's gonna mount on top, bolt's gonna go through the top, and then our 14mm nut on the bottom. All right, and now we'll just grab our ratchet with our 6mm Allen socket and 14mm wrench and tighten them down. All right, now we can mount our bump stop. It's gonna sit over top, put our plate through the middle, and then we're gonna have our 8mm Allen bolt with our washer go through the bottom on each side. All right, we're gonna put our brake line bracket back in place and reinstall our 13mm bolt we took out. All right, we're gonna put our new sway bar link in. It is supplied with the kit. Just make sure to check which one is which, because there are shorter and longer ones. The longer ones will go in the rear. So you will reuse the factory bolt for the bottom. And then there's a supplied nut for the top. So for the top, we're gonna grab our 6mm Allen and 18 wrench and tighten that down. All right, and then for the bottom, we're just gonna grab our impact with our 18mm socket and 18mm wrench and tighten it down. All right, we're gonna install our new shock. The rear shocks are the longer shocks. They are gonna go to our factory mounting points with our factory hardware. All right, we're gonna tighten our bottom up. We're gonna grab an 18mm wrench, our impact, and an 18mm socket. All right, and then our top, we're just gonna grab our impact with an 18mm swivel socket. All right, we're gonna reinstall our brake caliper line brackets. So we're gonna take our 10mm bolt we took out, put it back in and tighten it down. All right, now we can repeat those same steps on the other side. All right, what we have left in the rear is to reattach our vent hose and also our track bar. What we're gonna do now is reattach our vent hose, and then once we get done the front, we're gonna come back, put weight on the vehicle to install our rear track bar back in. All right, we're just gonna grab a pair of pliers, squeeze the clamp, and then put our hose back on. All right, now we're gonna get ready to drop our front axle. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna support it with our pole jacks, and then we're gonna get some slack on our brake lines by removing 2 brackets. All right, first we're gonna grab a 10mm socket and take the top bracket off. We're gonna grab a 15mm socket and take the nut off the lower control arm here. All right, now for this bracket on both sides, this bracket will actually be removed. So what you'll need to do is cut very lightly a slit into the back side, not all the way through the metal, but just enough so that you can get in here and bend it away from the brake line. You just want to be careful that you don't damage the brake line. We're not going to be removing ours for demonstration purposes. We're just going to disconnect it and set it behind. All right, now we're going to take our bottom bolt out of our shock. What we're going to do is grab a ratchet with an 18mm socket and 18mm wrench. All right, we can take our top shock bolt out now. It's also an 18mm socket. All right, we can take our bottom bolt out of our front sway bar link. It's an 18mm nut and 18mm bolt. All right, we're gonna take the top nut off of our front sway bar link. We're gonna use a 6mm Allen to hold the stud and an 18mm wrench to take the nut off. All right, now we just repeat that same process for the other side. All right, now we just need to disconnect this vent tube for the front axle, just so we don't pull too hard on this. So we're gonna grab a pair of pliers, pinch the clamp, and just pull the line off. All right, we just have this one connector on our front axle. What we're gonna do is we're gonna release the wiring by taking our two clips off here. All right, we just take our same tool, release our locking tab, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna push in on the clip, push down, and then pull out. All right, now we need to take our 21mm bolt out of our front track bar. What we're gonna do is grab an impact, an extension, and 21mm swivel socket. All right, now we're just gonna slowly, evenly lower the front axle so we can release tension on our springs and remove both of them. Take both our springs out and both our bottom spring mounts out. All right, we're gonna start installing stuff at the front now. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start with our lower spring insulator. It is new, so we're just gonna slide it on. You will see there is a notch on the bottom where it goes and slides in. All right, we're gonna go put our spring in now. What you need to remember is make sure you put the bump stop in the spring first because you will not be able to get it once it's installed. So just gonna slide it over. And then you may need a spring compressor, but we dropped ours enough to where you can just lift the spring up a little bit and get it on there. All right, now you can just do the same thing for the other side. All right, now that we got both our springs in there, what we're gonna do is we're gonna raise our axle up evenly so we can get everything else bolted in. All right, now we have our axle up. What we're gonna do is we're gonna tighten our bump stop down. We have our supplied bolt and nut. So our bolt's just gonna go through the bottom, through the top. And then we're gonna thread our supplied nut onto the bottom. All right, and then we're gonna grab our ratchet with our 6mm Allen. And then the kit comes with a supplied wrench to hold the bottom. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a pair of channel locks on the wrench just to hold it and make it a little bit easier. All right, now you can just tighten the other side down too. All right, now we're gonna install our new front sway bar link. It comes with all new hardware. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our top on first, tighten that down because it will interfere with our top of our track bar here. So we're gonna tighten that down with a 6mm Allen socket and an 18 wrench. All right, now that we raised our sway bar link up, we can line up the bottom. We're gonna use our factory 18mm bolt and nut that we took out. And grab our ratchet and wrench, tighten it down. All right, we're gonna put our shock in now. We're gonna start with our top bolt. So we're gonna grab our factory 18mm hardware and slide that in. All right, we'll grab our impact and our 18mm socket and tighten that down. All right, we're gonna come to the bottom shock and put our factory hardware back in. Just a reminder, it's 18mm hardware. So we're gonna lift our shock up, get our bolt in place, and then tighten everything down. All right, we're gonna put our brake line bracket back in place, slide back in place, and reinstall our 10mm bolt we took out. All right, now you get to repeat that process on the other side, minus the bottom sway bar link mount. Just remember it does have that locking nut. All right, now we're gonna plug our front connector back in. Just gonna clip it in, secure the locking tab, and then put our push connectors back in. All right, we can plug our vent tube back into our port right here. Grab our pliers, squeeze our tab. All right, now what we're gonna do, because all we have left is the track bars in the front and rear, you're gonna put your wheels on your Jeep, and then we're gonna put weight on the Jeep, so they'll line everything up into place for us. All right, now that we got our rear track bar lined up, we can put our bolt in. Put our lock washer on the back. Take our impact with a 21mm socket and tighten it down. All right, now to get this front track bar lined up, you may need a second set of hands. What they're gonna do is they're gonna turn the wheel back and forth just to get this bolt hole lined up. All right. All right, then we'll put our lock washer on the back. All right, we'll grab our impact with an extension and a 21mm socket and tighten it down. All right, now wraps up our install of our TerraFlex 2.5-inch coil spring base suspension lift kit with 9550 VSS shocks for our 2018 and newer Jeep Wrangler JL 4-door. And remember, for everything Wrangler, keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.